The following is a production of the Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network.
Hello there and welcome to Inside UFLB. My name is Dean Millard. I am head of baseball for Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports and co-commissioner of UFLB along with Matt Soren. And this is the first show that we're doing here on Twitch. Of course, this show presented by Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports being broadcast live on Twitch, and you might be watching it later in a replay format on our YouTube channel, Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network. However you're joining us, I am just really, really glad to be here, to be talking about baseball and listening to the crack of the bat. Man, that is such a sweet, sweet sound. I'm literally watching the Dodgers and Brewers spring training game right now, and it is just so nice to be talking about who's in the lineup, who's getting signed, as opposed to who's not going to be happy with the CBA. So that's just the cool thing about this. We're going to have a whole lot of first shows with other leagues, and yeah, I'm loving the comments that are popping up. My man Jamie Thomas, he totally stole my gig. I was gonna prank call somebody tonight. He totally stole that on Monday on Legends of the Gridiron, so I can't prank call anybody. I had my Prince Albert. Do you have Prince Albert in a can? You better let him out. I had that ready. I was gonna go with it, but man, oh well. It's okay. Okay, so you could see this sweet hat. We're going to have lots of cool merchandise for UFLB in the future. You franchise owners and GMs that are in the league, you'll be able to have your logo on jerseys. You'll be able to get your own mug, as I have here, a sweet Duckman's Domination mug for my Ultimate Fantasy Hockey League franchise. It's a bitter taste now because we're last place, but next year it's going to taste like sweet victory. And I hope everybody has some sweetness for themselves in Ultimate Fantasy League Baseball. I don't know, you can't really see it, but I'm wearing some retro Edmonton Trappers gear today. The old AAA Pacific Coast League team that was in Edmonton that saw so many great Twins and Angels come up through their systems. So anyway, we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk a lot about baseball. And yes, Jamie Thomas says prefers CBD talks along with Jiggly, the movie. Jamie and I were roommates, and every year we would try to, like, I would give him Jiggly or Cry Baby or something. Worst movies ever. That's basically what we tried to give each other, was the worst movies ever. But one of the momentous nights we ever had was watching Todd Bertuzzi go crazy that time between Colorado and Vancouver. It's a vivid memory. I don't have a lot of memories from the time I lived there because we were young and we like to do some crazy stuff. But we're going to have some crazy fun on this show. It's our first on Twitch. Please jump in on the side with any kind of comments that you might have. I'll try to keep up with it. Doing two things at once isn't too great for me. We're going to talk about a big deal that went down in the UFLB. Conferences and divisions. We'll introduce you to what our conferences and divisions look like. Major League Baseball free agency continues. Some of the rumors that are going on right now, of course, some of the signings that have been happening already. We are going to have a Suzuki auction in UFLB. We wanted to have it starting right now. Unfortunately, we just couldn't get the tech to work, so we'll have to work on that as we go. Baseball Thunderdome. I'm going to bring you two players. You got to pick one. Just like welcome to Thunderdome. You remember that Mad Max? 2 enter, 1 leaves. That's what we're doing on Baseball Thunderdome. So I'll give you the choice a little bit later, and my top 5 catchers a little bit later on in the program as well. And we will have some guests from time to time on the program. And we should just start out with some Freddie Freeman highlights. I mean, he's the top free agent in Major League Baseball, in my opinion. Well, he's no longer a free agent because he's a Dodger for the next bunch of years. So let's just sit back and relax and just enjoy some Freddie bombs. His parents are Canadian. I love that. He played for Canada in the World Baseball Classic. So let's just enjoy some more Freddie Freeman and think about this Dodger lineup now. The only guy in that Dodger lineup who has not played in an All-Star game is Will Smith. And he will probably play in an All-Star game this year. It's in LA, and he is the next best catcher. Hint about my list coming up a little bit later on. So as we enjoy some Freddie Freeman highlights here, it's it's a wonderful situation, I think, for the LA Dodgers. And if you want to say, hey, the Dodgers are overpaying and bringing in a free agent again, go and do yourself some homework and look at the amount of homegrown players or guys like Max Muncy and Justin Turner, who they kind of turned into from reclamation projects into all-stars. They do a great job of that. And, sure, they do spend money on guys like Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Max Scherzer, Trey Turner and trades and things like that. But they do use a lot of homegrown talent. So we'll have some fun on this show for sure. We will definitely be talking about free agencies. But we want to, first of all, talk about a trade that has taken place in UFLB. And I'm going to bring it up right now. We had a big one today that we just approved. Barracudas to the Rum Runners. Garrett Cole, possible Cy Young winner for the Yankees. Mitch Haniger, guy who's hit a lot of home runs last year, going to the Barracudas for George Kirby, James Triantos, a prospect, and a first-round draft pick. And so, first thing I want to point out, because a few people did reach out to me when it comes to trades in the UFLB, there is a competition committee. The competition committee is there to make sure there is no fishiness going on, no collusion, no under the table stuff happening. The competition does not protect the gazelle from the lion. Okay? Think of the competition committee as David Attenborough. We observe and we tell the story. We don't rush in when the lion is about to eat the gazelle and stop the lion from eating the gazelle. In every fantasy league, there are lions and there are gazelles. If you haven't read the rule book, you're probably going to be a gazelle. If you are looking at players, if you're taking advantage of the gazelle, you're the lion. It happens in all leagues. So, and I'm not, there was questions about this trade. I probably would have asked for a little bit more, but hey, that's on the GM. I made a massively lopsided trade in hockey where I overpaid because I had a particular draft pick I wanted to get. Keep in mind, draft picks, you still have to bid on them. It's in the rule book. You have to be in a certain slot with 4 other bidders. You bid on every pick that comes up. So if you're in this league, you definitely need to know the rules. It's much different. It's so realistic, but there are some things. Everything is basically an auction. That's what you have to remember. We've had our draft. Now it's all auction time, and that's how the prize pools get so high. So this trade might look lopsided to some, but to the franchises, GMs that made this trade, they maybe had a reason. Maybe they're stockpiling draft picks. Maybe they're looking at total prospects. Maybe they wanted to shed some salary. There's a lot of salary in Garrett Cole. So just so you know, that is what the competition committee does. Is there collusion? Is there any fishiness? Is there any underhandedness? No. Trade goes through. I think one trade in hockey in over 503 years has been rejected. We do not want, I hate with a passion. Hate's a strong word, but I hate leagues that let other GMs chime in on a move. Why would you do that? Most GMs and franchise owners are selfish anyway. If you can think for the betterment of the league, if you had 30 that were like that, I'd be all for that. But I often find that most GMs are just thinking, I don't want my opponent to make that deal. I'm vetoing it. I would never want to be in a league where another GM had a say in what I do, because I want to build my team a certain way. If I want to trade stars and get draft picks, which I did in hockey, and we're going to be a contender next year, then that's what I'll stockpile and I'll trade them later. So interesting trade between the Barracudas and the Rum Runners. Obviously the best player in this trade right now is Garrett Cole. We'll see how much that lasts. We'll see what Triantos does. We'll see what the first round pick ends up going to the Barracudas and the Rum Runners. So that's a bit of a big deal that certainly went on in UFLB, and you can find you can find the UFLB on our Fantrax. I'm going to try and bring up the website here and bear with me because this is my first time twitching, as they say, or maybe they don't say that. But there you can go to baseball.uffsports.com. And you can read a little history about our league. If you want to check out the teams, you can click on league standings, and it's going to take you to our fan tracks page. Our gameplay will be on our own site eventually, but then you can click through each of the teams and find out and look at their rosters, that sort of thing. You can easily do that from the UFF site. You can also check out the stats. It'll take you to the player page. You could check out our prize pool in Score. We had a massively successful auction for the top prospects that helps out the prize pool. So if you're in our league, certainly that's where you can go to check out. And if you're interested in learning more about the league, you can definitely check out baseball.uffsports.com, and you can find all sorts of good things when it comes to our league and lots of other stuff. So make sure you check that out at baseball.uffsports.com. I also want to tell you a little bit about our conferences and divisions. And I'm going to bring these up right now. I absolutely love this. We have the Vin Scully Conference and the Harry Carey Conference. I absolutely think baseball on the radio is the best. And those two guys were two of the more entertaining and the best, in my opinion, in Vin Scully to ever broadcast a game on baseball. I would love to know from anybody watching right now, who's your favorite baseball broadcaster? It could be current, it could be the past. We could be going way back. And a guy like Al Kaline, who is named a division after him, was a Tiger player and then a Tiger broadcaster. But Vin Scully, whenever I would watch a game with Vin Scully, it was like my grandfather was telling me the game. That's just the way it was for me. I absolutely loved it. So we have the Vin Scully Conference and we have the Harry Carey Conference. And how these were determined, well, we determined the conferences, but the divisions themselves were determined by the top 6 bidders in our franchise auction. So the Arctic, or actually the Reapers were the number 1 division, and they were the number 1 pick, and they chose Babe Ruth of their division. The Arctic Eagles were number 2, and they chose Mantle. This is me trying to remember this on the fly right now, so bear with me. The Scorpions ended up with the number 3 pick, and they went with the Roy Halladay division. Awesome pick there. It's a bunch of Canadians, so they loved Halladay's time with the Blue Jays. The Panthers had the 4th, and they went with Vlad Guerrero. Great story. Their GM, Cameron Lowe, actually hit by a line drive by Vlad Guerrero in an actual game that he was pitching. Cameron Lowe, a former just a terrific sinker ball pitcher. And then you have the Trout, Circa Sports Swing and Trout. They went with the Al Kaline division, hearkening back to Trout's roots in Detroit. And the Defenders, they ended up settling on the Ken Griffey Jr. division. So there you can see the 5 teams in each of our divisions. Just like Major League Baseball, our playoff format will be the same. Top 2 division winners will get a bye, and then 3 and 4 top 2 in the league get a bye, and then the rest will take on the wild card teams and so forth. And again, you can find that on baseball.uffsports.com. But some pretty iconic names and a really good mix. Mantle, Kaline, Ruth, Griffey, Halladay, Guerrero spans a lot of different generations when it comes to Major League Baseball. So love that we have that kind of variety, and love that we have that kind of spanning of generations. So, and this is a message to every manager out there in UFLB from Crash Davis.
You be cocky and arrogant, even when you're getting beat.
Even when you're getting beat, you be cocky and arrogant. That is the name of the game. Listen to Crash Davis. Just go back and watch Bull Durham and just pretty much do what Crash Davis did in that movie. And you will have a lot of success, I think, in especially if you're a minor league catcher, because Crash Davis was the home run king for minor league baseball. All right, love to hear your comments in the comments section. Who is your favorite broadcaster? We used to listen to Jerry Howarth and Tom Cheek while we were playing baseball in the backyard growing up in Manitoba, the great Blue Jays broadcasters. But I'd love to hear from you in the comments section about who your favorite broadcaster is. on the heels of us naming the Vin Scully Conference and the Harry Carey Conference. Would absolutely love to hear from people. Maybe I have to refresh this. I'm not sure. Again, this is the first voyage for me on Twitch. So let's talk a little bit about some free agency now. As well, I gotta bring in a different website, and we will talk a little baseball free agency. I believe we will. Oh, that's not a good sign. Just a white screen. Anyway, let's just listen to this. Let's watch some more Freddie Freeman highlights, shall we? As we try to muddle through this show here. The one thing I look at that with that Dodger lineup now that Freddie Freeman is there is and the thing you should be happy about if you have any Dodgers, they play everywhere. Like Max Muncy is going to get a whole bunch of time at obviously DH and second base now. But Freddie Freeman for me was he was the big nut out there. I think he was the one guy that really a lot of teams were charging hard for when it comes to free agency and things like that. So I don't know. I think that Freeman was the big nut. Carlos Correa is obviously number two in that situation. I think. But I'd like to know what you think. Who is the biggest free agent that has signed so far when it comes to Major League Baseball? There we go. That's the screen I was trying to get. Thanks for bearing with me. Chris Bryant. Let's talk about this Chris Bryant contract. 25 home runs. So what do you think that number goes up to now in the mountains of Colorado? Like 25 home runs in wherever. 15? Is he a 40 home run guy now? Can he get crazy hot and get to 50? I don't know. It's an interesting move. Like I look at the Dodgers in a 6-year deal with Freddie Freeman. I wouldn't have done that if I was Alex Anthopoulos and the Braves because he's 32. I like the move that they made. Just like the trade in UFLB. Got some people didn't like it, but I look at the Anthopoulos trade and a lot of people didn't like that either. I didn't mind them moving on and making that call. Dean, Vegas has 4 Dodger players in the top 6 who will win the MVP. Yeah, that's crazy. Like I said, there is only, thank you very much, Mark, make the read, sorry. Only one Dodger in the projected lineup has not played in an all-star game. Like, if you're picking a Dodger to win the MVP, you got to sit down and do your homework. And it could be somebody we're not even thinking about. I don't know who the 4 guys. I'm assuming that you're getting Betts and Freeman in there. I don't know if Muncy, Trey Turner would get some MVP consideration and maybe Walker Buehler. I don't know if is Clayton Kershaw still an MVP candidate? Like, is Clayton Kershaw still the opening day starter for the Dodgers, or is that now Walker Buehler's turn? I'd probably, I love Clayton Kershaw. I think he's awesome. Not as much as I love Gibson and Orel Hershiser, but I love Clayton Kershaw. I was so happy in 2020 that he got his ring, but I think this is Walker Buehler's team now. And don't forget about Julio Urias, led the majors in wins last year. So there might be more candidates to be an MVP for the Dodgers too. I don't know. By the way, 2-0 Milwaukee leading the Dodgers in spring training games. Isn't it just nice to be watching spring training games? Like I'm just loving the fact that we are able to watch these spring training games. Some interesting, rumors when it comes to free agency. Nick Castellanos working on a deal with the Phillies. I had Jesse Winker on my fantasy team last year. Will still have him this year. And I was a big fan of Castellanos and Winker. It's interesting though, Brent Baldwin, who's a resident Reds expert in UFLB, and he's with the Macaws, who's with the Royals in UFHL as well. He brought up a good point about Castellanos and his 34 home runs, 100 RBIs. And the fact that it's a ballpark, you got to take the ballpark into consideration. So I don't know much about the Phillies ballpark and how different it is. What does he play DH? Why would you move Bryce Harper out of right? So I don't know. Castellanos has mostly played right field from what I've seen it, but that's Ross. Thanks, Ross. Nicknames I don't get yet, but make the read. I love. By the way, Ross is going to be right here on Twitch, 11:30 a.m. I believe. Let me just check. Yeah, 11:30 Eastern time. Right here on Twitch, talking horse racing, ultimate fantasy horse racing. I can't wait for that. My wife and I, and we bring family in. We love going to watch the track here in Edmonton. We haven't been to the new one yet out by the airport, but I'm looking forward to that. So make sure you check out Ross tomorrow morning, Saturday, 11:30 Eastern, right here on our Ultimate Fantasy Sports Twitch channel. Oh, we got a new subscriber. Something just scared me. Did you see me jump? Like that literally made me jump when the new subscriber came on. Padres, as you might have heard, traded for Luke Voit, first baseman. Obviously, the Yankees made their decision at first base. They tried to get Freddie Freeman, from everything I understood. Didn't work out. And then, when they made the Rizzo signing, Luke Voit was a bit of an expendable piece. So they traded him to the Padres. The Padres need a bat because Fernando Tatis is going to be out. Here's the thing I don't understand about Fernando Tatis and that situation. Why wouldn't you get him surgery last year? I didn't understand that. Why you wouldn't get Fernando Tatis his surgery last season? It was something I didn't quite understand. And now they're going to be without him. I'm just putting some Freddie Freeman highlights back up just because I like seeing the guy with two Canadian parents hit some bombs. Out of what will be Chavez Ravine, where he'll be playing. So the Padres get Luke Voit because they needed another bat. Tatis is going to be out for a while. The Padres just absolutely fell off the cliff last year. It would have been, instead of, well, first of all, they lost out on Scherzer and Trey Turner, which might have been the difference, but the Dodgers made up the ground. The Padres fell apart. They made up ground on the Giants. When the Padres were sinking, that's when they should have said, okay, instead of putting Tatis in right field, let's get surgery for this guy so he's healthy in spring training, and let's try to keep him off motorcycles as well while we're at it. It didn't happen, and yeah, now they're without their best player for a couple of weeks of the season. And it just doesn't make any sense to me, why you would do that. By the way, this video of Freddie Freeman is courtesy of Palmer Sports. You can give them a subscribe. A lot of great MLB highlights on this channel for you to check out. Danny Duffy re-signs with the Dodgers. Garrett Richards has signed. Who did he sign with? Boston. Oh, he was in Boston's rotation, rather. He will not be in. He signed with the Rangers. The one deal that I saw today that didn't make a lot of sense to me was Brad Miller, $5 million with Texas. I don't know. Didn't the Texas Rangers just sign a bunch of really awesome infielders in Simeon and Corey Seager, and then they just throw $5 million at Brad Miller? I was quite surprised at that. So I don't know. Brad Miller has been okay. I'm not going to say I don't think Brad Miller is anywhere close to what they have in their infield, but depending on where he can play and where he can move around, maybe that's. Speaking of shortstops, the Rangers took Corey Seager from the Dodgers. Trevor Story sounds like he's down to 4 teams: Giants, Red Sox, and 2 mystery teams. That according to John Heyman. And that'll be interesting to see what happens with Trevor Story. And apparently, according to John Heyman, he's looking at maybe moving from shortstop. So if you're looking at the Red Sox, you're not, you got Bogarts and you got Devers there already. They own that left side. So I don't know where Story's going to play if he ends up with the Red Sox. The Giants have Brandon Crawford, who had a great year. Now, that's a great replacement for Crawford, who's getting a little bit older. A lot of people thought Crawford should have got MVP consideration last year when it came to it. And this one from John Heyman as well. Remember that ghost runner on second base that was supposed to be ghosted? Apparently, there is word that could be coming back in extra innings. It's not quite decided, according to the tweet by John Heyman, but it is getting some traction because teams do not want to burn out arms. Remember, we're going back to 162 games again, and you might see the ghost runner on second again. It made games end quicker and were more exciting. And I think that's what teams want. As much as I love the 16-inning marathon games, not everybody does. So I think we might see that happening at some point in the near future. Okay, so in UFLB, we are going to be having a auction for Mr. Suzuki. It is going to happen. Whoops. I don't know what is happening there, but let's bring this up and try to get rid of that, and we'll transition there. So we will have an auction for Mr. Suzuki, and you just basically head to our marketplace. You will go to auctions. You can see some of our past auctions that we had, the franchise auctions. There were some free waiver wire auctions for these players, our top prospects auctions. But here is where the Suzuki auction will take place right on our website. We just had a couple of tech problems this week. We'll get that sorted out, and we'll have an auction for that next week as well. That's an interesting move as well. Anytime these players come over, are they going to have the success of Shohei Ohtani and Ichiro? Or are they going to have the okay careers with some of the other players? But the Cubs are certainly looking at that as, hopefully being a guy that can bolster their roster and help them out and get back into a playoffs. I was looking at that David Ross move from a couple of years back, and that Cubs manager. I thought that was going to be the wrong move because I thought maybe he was too close to the whole situation as far as players, things like that, and being just too close to the situation. And actually, I kind of like the move. So I was definitely wrong in that situation. And if Mr. Ross can get the Cubs back into the playoffs, I think that would be something that's that would be pretty cool. He was obviously a very important player in that organization and with the fan base and et cetera. So I'm sure that will be a very cool feeling for Cubs fans if he can lead them back to the playoffs. All right, let's get into something we're calling, thank you very much, another subscriber. Hello, Andrea. Great to see you. Let's get into now baseball Thunderdome.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome.
You be cocky and arrogant, even when you're getting beat.
2 men enter, 1 man leaves.
Prediction? Yes, prediction.
Hey, and right now, I've got 2 men.
It's serious.
All right, so baseball Thunderdome is basically just like how it sounds. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. And we will give you a choice of 2 players as we roll along here. I'm going to bring up our Twitter poll question that we are using for this very example. And you can find that at the UFLB. And so your choices are, who would you take this season in fantasy baseball? Max Scherzer or Garrett Cole? You can vote on our at the UFLB. Right now, everybody going with Max Scherzer. So Garrett Cole not getting a lot of love on our Twitter poll question. I would love to hear from anybody who wants to chime in on that. Who do you take? Who do you take between Garrett Cole or Max Scherzer this year? Is that Mets team going to be enough for Max Scherzer? The Yankees are probably going to be contenders. Cole is younger, but right now in fantasy, if you had a pick, who would you take? Max Scherzer, Garrett Cole? EJ860, nice hat. Thank you. I love this hat. By the way, you'll be able to get your own UFLB merchandise, whether it's league merchandise, team merchandise. We're going to get that all set up very soon. We'll have the details on this show. Keep it locked on Ultimate Fantasy Sports Twitch to keep up to date with what's going on with UFLB and where you can find out that cool stuff. So you can have your say at the UFLB on Twitter. And we always like hearing from everybody when it comes to this show. Okay, so we're going to bring in our top 5 list now, and I'll try to get rid of some of that other stuff that shouldn't be there, but I'm not really sure just yet how that's supposed to work. I definitely am going to adjust this graphic, though, because I think we can make this one look a lot better than what it is. Anyway, your top 5 catchers we are talking about. I'll just try to do a little editing here on the fly as I go. Your top 5 catchers we're talking about. Major League Baseball TV is doing a bunch of these things. There we go. That's a little bit better on their network. And I just put together a top 5 from each position. I'll try to run through on different shows. The first guy that's on this list is Sal Perez. He smashed the record for home runs by a catcher last year. The Wheat Sox grabbed him, and he's got raw power. He's still only 31, and he can DH to stay in your lineup, or the Royals as well. So I love that the Wheat Sox picked up Sal Perez. Big fan. I think he took the mantle away from JT Realmuto last year, obviously with that great season. I think JT Realmuto, obviously, as you see, is the number 2 catcher. So that's fun. Clark, hello. Good to see you. Max, thank you very much for those comments. Trying to keep up with all those as I go and not get too distracted. So there's Clark Monroe is the GM of the Wheat Sox. They have Sal Perez. So Calvary, they end up with JT Realmuto. Down year last year, and I know I had him. I actually traded him and kept another guy on this list that I'll tell you about in a bit. To get a guy like Dustin May, who I know is going to be out for a while, but is going to be a superstar in the making. That guy's a super freak. And can you tell I watch a lot of Dodgers games? I watch the odd one. But JT Realmuto had a down year, but everywhere except steals. He had 13 steals last year. So you don't expect that many steals from the catcher position. There's a guy, if he bounces back, could take over the number 1 spot in the catcher's list at the end of the year, especially when he throws in swiping bags. So I like that. I think that's a good, Clark saying I ain't mad about Perez on that list. Well, how could you? He's the number 1 catcher. I'm not sure if he's going to go 46 bombs again this year. I don't know. Will Smith, number 1. He might, or number 3 for the Isotopes. He might be number 1 by the end of the season. He's the only guy, as I mentioned earlier, in that Dodger projected lineup that hasn't been in an All-Star game. It probably will happen this year, seeing as the All-Star game is in LA. So Will Smith is number 3 on this list, and he's just consistently good. I don't know if he's going to catch Kershaw, and so that takes him out of the mix every once in a while, but we'll see what happens. He could easily be the next guy that takes the mantle from Perez or Realmuto, whoever ends up as the number 1 guy. Wilson Contreras of the Panthers. Pretty good option in later rounds. Needs to cut down the strikeouts, but still a young catcher. And, catcher is probably the shallowest position when it comes to Major League Baseball and particularly fantasy baseball, as it were. I know there was some talk in the offseason about maybe bringing in a catcher metric. And, I love the ideas that people are coming up with. Just remember to save them for the offseason, bring them up in the meetings, and get them in to get your proposals in that situation. Larry saying, play into the audience, putting a Wheat Sox catcher at number 1. Well played. Well, he is the number 1 guy. You might be able to make a case for Realmuto. I wouldn't buy it after last year. And I would buy Will Smith if you're looking at projections ahead of anybody else. And Yasmani Grandal. I traded Realmuto in my fantasy draft last year because I grabbed Yasmani Grandal. The Arctic Eagles are looking at this guy, and he's a good later option guy in drafts, a win now guy, because you're not, time is running out and the body might be breaking down. But I still think this guy has a few more years, or maybe at least one more year, and then who knows. But that's why the catcher position is kind of shallow. There's just not a massive amount of great catchers. There's some great ones, potentially great ones coming up, but certainly it's. In my opinion, it's certainly a tough position to try to cash in on. You either get the guys early or you end up with second tier. Just thought we'd throw some more Freddie Freeman highlights up there as we transition to the next thing. So that's my top 5 list. I'd love to hear, what you think your top 5 catchers are. You can hit us up on Twitter at the UFLB. We're going to end this stream here in a few minutes, but feel free. This show, by the way, will be moving to Tuesdays normally, but this is a special Friday edition. As the Brewers are up 3-0 on the Dodgers. Lost season for the Dodgers, I guess. They're losing their first spring training game, and I guess the season's over now for the Dodgers, I'm sure. They might as well trade Freddie Freeman now. But anyway, I would love to hear your top 5 lists. Also chime in at the UFLB on our Baseball Thunderdome. Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, who do you take this season? And before we go, I think we have, let me bring this up. And, whoops, that's not it. If you do want to ever get in touch with us, here's how you can do it. At the UFLB on Twitter, you can get Brian Hernandez, who runs our scouting as the director of scouting, at UFLB_scouting. The Legends League, Matt Soren heading that up. You can find that at the LLB_. If you just want to stick with email, info UFLB at UFFsports.com. No snail mail. I'm not giving you out my address. If you want to get in touch with Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network, if you want to get part of the one-stop fantasy sports shop that we have going on, hit us up, UFSN at UFFsports.com. You can possibly get a show here on Twitch. We also have our programs that'll be put on our YouTube channel, so make sure you check that out. And if you want to get these shows in audio podcast form, just search wherever you find podcasts at just search Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network wherever you find your podcasts, and you can enjoy us on your commute. If you want to get more information about the whole platform, which is just growing by leaps and bounds, UFFsports.com. And if you want some of our sweet NFTs, ultimatesportsnfts.com. So we got everything. Scroll down. You can just click our Twitters, our TikTok, everything else. Find that information, the schedule. It's all there. Jamie Thomas coming up on Monday with Legends of the Gridiron after our American Football Legends League game. We might also have something really cool on Twitch for you that night as well. So keep it locked on UFFS Sports Twitter handle. As mentioned, tomorrow, Ultimate Fantasy Horse Racing with Ross at 11:30 Eastern Time. This show moving to Tuesdays, 5 p.m. Eastern. And I'm talking about baseball. We also got the NCAA tournament. We got our Ultimate WNBA franchise auctions this weekend. So there is so much going on. It is so massive. You can get your hands on a UFBA franchise. The auction starting, I believe, today and going this weekend. It's March Madness. We've got our college football draft franchise auction in Vegas in April. You can come hang out with us in Vegas. There is so much going on. I would be here all day if I was trying to explain it. So that is going to wrap things up for us. Spread the word about our Twitch channel. Subscribe, tell your friends, tell your grandma, tell your uncle, tell your dad, tell your husband, your wife. If I walk out of here and I see Trish watching Young and the Restless instead of this Twitch channel, there's going to be a big argument in the Millard household. So there better be Twitch on every TV in the Millard household, not Young and the Restless. Although I do want to find out, what's going on with Jack Abbott and things like that. So there are some things I want to know about. So maybe one TV can be on that. But spread the word. Inside UFLB is part of the Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network, Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports here on Twitch. We have our YouTube channel. Follow along on Twitter at UFS Network. And if you want to be a part of it, send us an email, UFSN at UFFsports.com. We can get you part of the program. All right. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. This has been a lot of fun.
This is a serious message. Peace and love. Peace and love.
The serious message with peace and love is this.
You be cocky and arrogant even when you're getting beat.
Even when you're getting beat, cocky and arrogant is what you need to be when it comes to Ultimate Fantasy League Baseball. Right here. This guy, he was pretty cocky. Roberto Clemente, not so cocky, but massively awesome. I love this. This has been so much fun. I love the comments going back and forth. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in to the show today. We'll be back again on Tuesday. Love to get some of your questions. Make sure you head to at the UFLB Vote on our baseball Thunderdome question. 2-man enter, 1-man leaves. Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer. Who do you take this year? Vote at the UFLB. You know what else you can do? You can also vote on the Garrett Cole trade that went down at the UFLB. You can vote on who won. I'm just going to quickly take a look at this and see if I can bring up I don't think I'll be able to bring it up here. But I'll see if I can bring up the where it is right now. Max Scherzer is still at 100% on our baseball Thunderdome. And the trade, the Rum Runners winning 53.3% to 40%, 6.7 thinks it's even. So there you go. You might not like a trade that somebody else makes, but here's what I'd say. Go make them a better offer next time. Don't complain about the trade after. And we are not here to protect the gazelles. We are here to like I said, we're David Attenborough. We are here to let nature take its course. If you get demolished in a bad trade, well, then you're going to have to answer to your owner. Unless you are the owner, then you can do whatever you want. Not whatever I want, because I have Craig Button helping me. But, when somebody makes a pick that you don't expect, and you say, oh, that's off the board. Craig Button and I talk about this all the time on Tracking the Draft. Whose board? Your board? Their board? Everybody has a different board. So everybody has a different value on players. And we're not here to tell somebody you're getting ripped off in that trade. We're just here to make sure that there's no funny stuff going on in that trade scenario. All right, one more thing I have to say, and that's ban the shift. It's how I'm going to end every show. I'm glad Major League Baseball is looking at it. We can debate and argue all we want about that as we go. Thank you so much for watching this stream. It's been a lot of fun. Mentioned Ross and Ultimate Fantasy Horse Racing, 11:30 a.m. tomorrow. Jamie Thomas, Legend of the Gridiron, on Monday after the American Football Legends League game. We're going to have UFHL now eventually on here. UFBA today with show. That was yesterday. It comes out on Thursdays, and a whole lot more fun program, live watch-alongs. We'll put some games on. Well, we won't be showing the games, but you can have the game on at home. We can just sit here and talk. It's going to be so much fun. I love it. Oh, Darren Bates says, has there been any moonshots chatter yet? Yeah, we just mentioned the moonshots. Thanks to you. There you go. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. This has been a lot of fun. UFFS to the moon, everybody. Another reference to the moonshots. Take care.